Most people sense that something is wrong long before they can explain it. They do everything they were told would lead to stability. They study, work consistently, avoid obvious mistakes, and try to be responsible. Their income grows slowly over time, yet their anxiety never seems to decrease. Bills still feel heavy. Long-term plans still feel fragile. And the future feels more uncertain than it did for previous generations at the same age. This creates a quiet confusion because the rules were followed, but the outcome never arrives. The mistake is assuming the financial system exists to reward effort or intelligence. It does not. It exists to maintain continuity. It does not need most people to win. It needs most people to stay functional, predictable, and engaged. Once you understand that the goal of the system is not your prosperity, but its own stability, many things that once felt like personal failure suddenly make structural sense. The financial system defines winning very differently than individuals do. For most people, winning means comfort, freedom, time, and security. For systems, winning means predictability. A predictable population pays on time, works consistently, borrows responsibly, and plans within approved boundaries. This is why the system rewards behavior that looks responsible but quietly limits freedom. Salaries paid monthly, expenses structured monthly, debts amortized over decades, and retirement plans that delay fulfillment until physical energy is gone are not coincidences. They are synchronization mechanisms. When income, obligations, and identity are all tied to the same rhythm, people become easier to manage, easier to forecast, and less likely to exit. The system does not collapse when people struggle. It collapses when people become optional. Salary, which most people see as safety, is one of the most effective control mechanisms ever created. It provides enough certainty to reduce fear, but not enough excess to create leverage. It keeps people focused on short-term survival rather than long-term structure. A salaried individual must think in months, not decades. They optimize for stability, not positioning. This is not a moral failure. It is a rational response to dependency. When your rent, insurance, food, and family obligations depend on a single predictable income stream, risk becomes dangerous even when risk is the only path to independence. Over time, people confuse comfort with progress and activity with advancement. They remain busy, responsible, and financially obedient, while never actually gaining control. Debt is often portrayed as the villain in personal finance, but debt itself is not the core issue. Dependency is. The credit score reveals this truth clearly. It is often framed as a measure of financial responsibility, but in reality, it is a measure of behavioral compliance. It tracks how reliably someone follows repayment schedules, not how intelligently they deploy capital. A person can build significant wealth while intentionally avoiding traditional credit systems, and another can remain financially fragile while maintaining an excellent score. The system does not reward independence, it rewards reliability. Once this is understood, fear around financial rules begins to dissolve. The rules are not moral, they are operational. For decades, people were taught that saving was the foundation of financial security. In a stable monetary environment, that advice worked. In an environment of persistent inflation and asset appreciation, saving alone quietly fails. Cash loses purchasing power while assets inflate faster than wages. This is not an accident. Asset inflation stabilizes institutions by concentrating value in structures that already exist. It does not protect individuals who only store value without ownership. As a result, people feel like they are running on a treadmill that speeds up every year. They save more, earn more, and yet fall further behind relative to the system itself. The problem is not effort, it is positioning. The system consistently rewards owners, controllers of capital, and designers of structures. It does not meaningfully reward labor, even skilled labor, beyond a certain threshold. Income is temporary. Positioning is permanent. This is why two people with similar intelligence and work ethic can experience radically different financial outcomes. One follows the standard path of optimization within the system. The other focuses on reducing dependency, increasing optionality, and gaining control over time. The difference is not morality or talent, it is structure. Perhaps the most damaging lie ever sold is not that anyone can get rich, but that everyone should pursue financial security the same way. One-size-fits-all advice reduces risk for institutions while increasing risk for individuals. Generic retirement plans, standard life timelines, and universal financial milestones create conformity, not resilience. Financial education that truly emphasized independence would create exits, and exits destabilize systems. This is why most education focuses on earning, budgeting, and spending control rather than ownership, leverage, and structural thinking. Knowledge itself is not dangerous. Independence is. Financial freedom is often imagined as wealth, but wealth is only one expression of freedom. True financial freedom is low dependency, fewer fixed obligations, more control over time. Income sources that are not tied to physical presence or singular approval. The system can tolerate wealth. It cannot tolerate unpredictability at scale. This is why the most important financial moves are often quiet, boring, and invisible. Reducing fixed costs, delaying irreversible commitments. Building leverage before lifestyle, and designing income that survives absence. These actions do not look impressive. They are not celebrated. But they create optionality, and optionality is the one thing the system cannot easily price. The financial system is not evil. It is indifferent, does not wake up intending to harm individuals. It simply optimizes for its own stability. Once this is understood, resentment fades, self-blame dissolves, and strategy replaces frustration. You stop asking why working harder is not working and start asking what the system actually rewards. Winning is no longer about rebellion or rejection. It is about alignment on your own terms. The moment you see the structure clearly, you realize you were never broken. You were simply playing a game that was never designed for you to win the way you were told it was.